Box 17. And now your host, Dr. James Haney.
Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the athletic program at Tennessee State University. And we're fortunate to have with us this morning two persons to talk about the athletic program at Tennessee State University, the athletic director, Mr. Howard Gentry, Jr., and along with Mr. Howard Gentry, Jr., the head football coach at Tennessee State University, Mr. Bill Davis. And gentlemen, let me welcome both of you to the show this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I know that both of you relish the opportunity to talk about Tennessee State University and the athletic program, and we do want you to give us some information relative to the program this morning. But Coach Gentry, before we get involved in Tennessee State University, let's talk about you and Coach Davis. Give us some background information about some of the things that were important in your careers before you became involved in what you're doing now.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I guess if I look at my career in athletics, I guess you can quote or list me as one of the new day athletic directors. And in saying that, I have a varied background. I have a background in business, banking, insurance, and a little law in there also. And I have an extensive fundraising background. And athletics has grown to the point now that it requires a business mind somewhere in the athletic department, and people are starting to look into the business community, and people that are not totally outside of athletics, but people that have an athletic background but have ventured into other areas to run athletic departments. And so I guess fortunately in my professional journey, it has come back to Tennessee State University as an athletics director, and it definitely helps. Athletics is a big business now. It's not a small business by any means. It's a multi-million-dollar operation, and it helps to have a business mind. Now, I won't say that only business people can run an athletic department, but it definitely helps. And so my career has taken me the full scope and brought me here, and I feel very comfortable.
Very good. Coach Davis, as the head football coach at Tennessee State University, let's talk about some of the things that you were involved in before you became the head football coach at Tennessee State University.
Well, I came to Tennessee State University from Savannah State College in Savannah, Georgia, a Division II football school, and we went to the playoffs in 1992, the Division II level. Prior to that, I was at South Carolina State for a number of years, where I got my first head coaching assignment. And I'm going now into my third season at TSU.
Very good. And of course, Coach Gentry, talking about the athletic program at Tennessee State University and talking about your background, you've been involved in that athletic program for a number of years. As a matter of fact, even before you were appointed as the athletic director, you were also involved in athletics, as you've indicated. Let's talk about the athletic program at Tennessee State University and what you, as the athletic director, hope to achieve in that program.
Well, the athletic program at Tennessee State University is a program that's rich in history. It is rich in current history. I mean, as current as this past basketball season. I mean, our program is still making history. As our Lady Tigers went to the NCAA tournament for the second time consecutively. We've, of course, if you go back and talk about your Wilma Rudolphs, your Ralph Bostons, Too Tall Jones, Eldridge Stickett, in other words, Skull Barnett, we have a very rich history in a lot of sports. It is my goal, and I'm going to give every piece of my energy into taking Tennessee State University to the next level. I really, truly believe that Tennessee State can compete on a national level for championships. We're just not a program sitting over there fielding 14 sports. I believe that we can compete at the top level, and my goal is to help see that we do.
Now, Coach, you said earlier that this is your third year here at Tennessee State University. Why don't you give us an assessment of some of the things that you found in terms of your responsibilities as the head football coach up to this point, going into this season?
Well, being a head football coach at a program like Tennessee State University, it's a very high-profile program. As Mr. Gentry said, it's rich in tradition, and what we're trying to do is to, I guess, pump some life back into that football tradition. Being a member of the OVC, Ohio Valley Conference, we probably operate out of one of the toughest Division I AA conferences there is in the United States. Plus, we play our 3 historically black schools, and I think that our program is on the upswing. Last year we were 5-6. Possibly should have been better, but you know, give or take a few here or there. The ball had bounced our way, no telling. But I feel that we are coming into a season where we have our, gotten our athletes in. We've had an opportunity to have 2 classes, recruiting classes. So went through a good spring practice. Everything went well. So right now we're just waiting on August to roll around. We can kick off the 3rd campaign.
Now, you've already had your spring practice, have you not?
We've had spring practice early in, we finished early in April, started the last couple of weeks of March, and things went real well. We had some surprises and had some guys that we're not so surprised about, but we're pleased with it. We got a new offensive coordinator, Coach Darren Valentine. Coach Nick Calcutta came in this year as offensive line coach. He made it in time, to work with us a little during the spring, and so we've gotten our offense set and ready to go for the 95 campaign.
Now, Mr. Gentry, as the athletic director, you're faced with trying to juggle financing for all of these various programs, and I think one of the things that you've often emphasized is equity in your athletic program. And let's talk about that. Certainly we want to talk more about the football team and about the schedules and whatnot, but we want to make sure that we give you an opportunity to say something about the various sports that you are required to have and equity within that framework, and what impact does that have upon Tennessee State University?
Well, Tennessee State University has 14 sports, 7 men's sports, 7 women's sports, and when you talk about equity, I mean, the big word out now, phrase is gender equity, and I believe in it. I think it's very important. I think it's been a difficult task to try to balance gender equity with football being in the formula, because football is all-male sport. It has large numbers, large budgets, and it does create a problem in that formula. But I believe in gender equity. I believe that the female sports should have everything that they need. I believe that there should be parity there, and I believe it's important that we work very hard to make sure that the females in athletics have an equal opportunity. But what again makes it difficult is football being in that formula. I think we need to put our heads together and determine a way to not penalize a sport to create equity, and I think it can be done. I don't know sometimes if it's so much a question of gender equity or is it dollars. We're going to offer opportunities for women in sports, and we're not going to turn our backs on the female athlete, student athlete, and we're committed to that. But I guess if you look at the complicated part, is trying to figure out how do you call it equity if football gets so much. And we're going to have to continue to work on it from the NCAA level all the way down. But I think at Tennessee State University you'll find that our females are pleased at our commitment to equity, and it's very important. And it's important to the strength of your overall program.
You know, Coach, I think you mentioned earlier about the OVC, the Ohio Valley Conference, and you've been involved in the Ohio Valley Conference since you came to Tennessee State University. But what do you find in terms of playing in that conference compared to some of the other conferences that you've played in?
Well, there are 9 schools in the conference, and we play, well, it's 8 other teams in the conference, and I find that the competitive level is just about equal. There used to be some pushover, so-called, in the conference, but now when you look at it, the lower 4 teams have now almost come to the surface and equal the top 4 teams that we play. We find that we had 2 representatives in the NCAA last year from the Ohio Valley Conference, and anytime that you can have 2 members out of your conference representing the conference in playoffs, it just shows you the strength of that conference. Not only the conference is strong, but the 3 schools that we played, the historically black colleges, we played South Carolina State and Atlanta. They ended up winning the Heritage Bowl and also winning the conference championship in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Florida A&M is a Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference member. They finished real strong last year. Jackson State had what they call a so-so year, but they were on the winning side of the ledger. So I guess we play 11 games that are probably the toughest in Division I AA, and hoping that we can get up and have a representative year in terms of 1 losses and try and make the the playoffs or win the OVC Conference Championship.
You know, Coach Gentry, many people might not know, speaking of the Ohio Valley Conference, that your father, the late Howard Gentry Sr., played a significant role in terms of creating a situation so that Tennessee State University could become involved in the Ohio Valley Conference. Following him by a number of years, how do you see your relationship within that conference with the other schools, and what do you think that it brings to Tennessee State University as well as what Tennessee State University brings to the Ohio Valley Conference?
Well, my role is to just continue the athletics program and tradition. As far as the Ohio Valley Conference, it goes back to the 60s. Dr. Davis had a desire to move into the Ohio Valley Conference way back. And of course, the conference did not accept us. Then in the 70s, TSU made another bid. And the reason that TSU made a bid into the conference, if you didn't know, TSU has always been independent. Dr. Davis wanted to see TSU compete at the highest level. He wanted to see All-Americans. We had a bunch of black All-Americans. He felt that TSU could create All-Americans, national All-Americans. He believed that TSU should be able to compete for national championships. And he felt that that conference was an avenue in which to do that. As far as us being in the conference right now, I think it's outstanding exposure. It's a lot of competition. As far as our sports, other than football, it's the best place we could ever be. Right now, football is okay, but if I had my wish, I'd rather that the conference did not require as many conference football games as they do, because we need to play our historical rivals. We need to play them. We need to play it for revenue. We need to play it for the best interests of our fans. And it's just something we need to do. So we're working with the conference right now to see if we can cut back on the number of required games that we play in football and see if we can't work this thing out. I don't have a problem with the conference per se. I just know that what's best for TSU is for us to have an opportunity to play 1 or 2 more of our rival football games, and that will have an impact on our budget that would be very, very positive.
Now, what about that impact on the budget? I mean, the difference between playing as an independent and playing as a member of the conference. So let's have the 2 of you speak to that as an issue.
Well, you want to talk to that?
Well,
first?
I think, first of all, looking at it from a football perspective, there are a lot of schools that we're not playing that Tennessee State once played, such as your Gramblin's, on a yearly basis, your Southern universities and schools of that nature. If they were added to our schedule, it would bring a lot more fan interest, because a lot of our fans have more in common with those schools than they do, with the OVC schools, Ohio Valley Conference schools, such as Moorhead, Southeast Missouri schools of that nature. So we would definitely see a difference in our fan interest picking up from week to week if we were able to play more historically rivals, such as Mr. Gentry was speaking of.
What about the financing? I think you're concerned about what does that mean?
I would say if we play Moorhead, our revenue from that game would probably be $4,000. If we played Grambling, the revenue would probably be $104,000. So
you're talking about that kind of dollars.
And what do we bring to the conference? What we bring is a crowd everywhere we go. The conference, unfortunately, with some games, does not reciprocate. And again, it's not that the conference doesn't want the people to come. It's just not a crowd drawing conference with some of our teams, such as your Moorhead, such as your teams like Southeast Missouri, that's way out in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Not anything that is planned or any forethought. It's just the fact that they're not our rivals, so they don't come to our games, and we still bring more to them. I don't say that these games cannot be built into rivalries, but we already have rivalries. And again, if we had a little relief there, we're required to play 8 conference games. That only leaves 3 to go outside. So to just bring in one more non-conference game would probably be, as far as the budget's concerned, 100,000 plus situation as far as revenue is concerned.
And so the revenue difference is that great in terms of conference operation, in terms of non-conference operation. And so in reality, you're better off in a sense in the conference, but if you could play a few more games.
See, we really can't say that we'd be better off independent because it might upset the fans, because to really make money independent, we'd have to stay on the road. Don't you think so?
Quite a bit.
We'd have to stay on the road because you have to play your classics. That's where your big money
This
games
is
are.
Atlanta and
Memphis, Chicago, Indianapolis, you know, those type of places. So there's some pluses and minuses. Plus, you'd have to travel a lot, which cuts into your profits. So the ideal situation, you know, I guess how they say, if I were king, then I'd have a 2-tier conference where we're required to play 6 conference games. Then we could play 5 out of conference. And I think we could survive, don't you, Coach?
I think we could. We definitely could, because just adding those 2 more games would definitely help our budget and would help, you know, and because football basically finances, you know, some of the other programs. Basketball, we only have 3 revenue sports, basketball, men and women, and football, where in football being the, you know, the largest of those, the 3 sports. And it would definitely, you know, give us an opportunity to maybe put some more money into the coffer of the minor sports, such as track and field, women's softball, tennis, and things of that nature.
And it would help the conference. Because if we got stronger in our non-revenue sports, it would just make the conference that much stronger, because we've been struggling in our sports like tennis, volleyball, softball, and what have you. Track is coming along because we brought in Chandra Cheeseborough, former Olympian, and Allen Robinson's doing a fine job. But if we could pour more money into our non-revenue sports, it just makes us a stronger conference, I guess, opponent and also member.
You know, 2 things that certainly we want to talk about today, and that has to do with athletic eligibility, the NCAA requirement. There might be some young people this morning who might not be prepared to play this year, but they might be juniors or sophomores in high school, and they might wonder about some of the new rulings in reference to qualifying as a college athlete. And let's talk about NCAA athletic eligibility, and then again we want to talk about the stadium. You know, I think that's a very, very important element.
Well, one of the things that's coming into play this year in terms of our eligibility ruling is that each youngster must have 900 or 2.0 on the ACT or the SAT, which will be, I think it'll be 17, and it's on a graduating scale. The 2.5 and the 14 core courses will be added this coming year, 1995-96. So I'd say to all the youngsters that are out there, it's time to buckle up, you know, because you're not going to be able to participate your first year if you do not meet those qualifications. Just recently we had Proposition 48 where 17 or 2.0 or 700 or 2.0, that has been changed just recently with 820 on the SAT. So the academic part of it has become a major part now. I often tell a story that don't tell me about a guy that's 6'5", 290. All of those numbers sound good in terms of height, weight, 40-yard dash speed, but the one numbers that I want to know is how's he doing academically. The SAT and ACT.
Very good.
And it's very important to high school youngsters. A lot of them don't find themselves until they get to the 10th or the 11th grade, but now you got to start out, you got to come out of the blocks, you know, with some A's and B's and a few C's, because it's tightening up to the point that a youngster's going to have to sit out or either go to a junior college and lose 2 years of eligibility, where he could be at the 4-year college and get those 2 years under his belt. So I say to all the young people that are listening, both young men and young women, it's time to tighten up now, and you know, you just put as much time into your books as you do into your play.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Gentry, you've stressed that in terms of all of the things that you've done with the athletic program in terms of academics and athletics. And what do you see in terms of the opportunities that are provided for young people, which is to say that if many of these young people are unable to meet the academic requirements, then they might not have an opportunity at college period.
Right. Well, I personally feel that the academic requirements are necessary. I think that in some ways they might be a little too stringent, but we have to live with that, and it's not my place to say what's right and wrong. I think it does have a negative effect on some young men and some young ladies. Now, the academic world would say, well, that'll make them work harder. Well, I can only think of stories where, like my father, if it had not been for athletics, he would not have gotten a college education. It turned out to be a pretty good old guy. You know, he wasn't given his education. He had to work for it. But we have to take the hand that's dealt us, and we have to understand that academics is very important. So what we've got to do is to make sure we have programs in place to help these young men and women progress and help them move through toward graduation. We've got to give them a hand. Unfortunately, we can't reach back to high school and do anything about that. The high school is going to have to do that. But when we do get these young men and women, we're going to have to make sure that programs are in place so that we can enhance them academically, so they will progress through, they will graduate, because that's what they're there for. I believe in that, and I'm taking a strong stand. I don't have any opposition, though, because our coaches are not fighting that. They want the same thing. It's just that a coach, along with the academic requirements, coaches got to win, and that's a tough job. But like I tell my coaches, you all decided to get in this field, you know. So, but it's a tough job. Part of the turf. I understand. That's why I feel, as athletic director, I need to stay in the background, and I need to work and make sure that things are in place to make the coach's job as easy as they can, as it can be, so that they can put the emphasis on coaching, and so we take responsibility for a lot of the academics.
Coach Davis, how do you see the stadium this year in terms of Hale Stadium? I mean, we're talking about the stadium that is on the campus at Tennessee State University, and I think quite a bit of money has been put into renovation and et cetera. But where do you see that, and how would an improved stadium help your program?
Well, I think it would help, you know, any time that you have improved facilities, it helps your recruiting tremendously. You know, when you have that locker room, the weight room, and all of the things in place, when a young person comes in to visit, he want to come to your institution, you know, not only because of the academic, we give him the academic reasons first, but he want a nice, comfortable environment to be in. And we're in the process of renovating our stadium. We're in the process of fixing the turf. And I look forward to, you know, when we come back home for our first game, which is October the 7th, I believe, I'm hoping that we'll come back to, you know, a much improved facility, because Hale Stadium is another thing at Tennessee State where you have so many historical sites on campus. I think this is one of the tops on campus, and we're hoping that it will be improved. We are looking forward to the ROTC old ROTC building being renovated in the future for football offices and athletic offices in general. So I think it'll bring a lot of excitement. It'll bring even some more fans out to be in a comfortable setting in which we're, you know, in the process of doing.
Very good. We've got about 4 minutes before we end today, Mr. Gentry, and perhaps that'll give you an opportunity to perhaps talk about some things that we've not had an opportunity to talk about, or some issues that might be burning on your heart in reference to the athletic program, after which Coach Davis will have an opportunity to perhaps make some final comments.
Well, what continuously burns on my heart is that as a graduate of Tennessee State University, and having been around Tennessee State and the athletic program my entire life, I know how important it is to have the support that we need to make it to that next level. Tennessee State didn't move through the golden era by themselves. I mean, they had support. They had committed fans. and committed alumni who support them. We need that support. We need a rededication to our athletics program. We need a rededication to our university as a whole. And so what burns within me is the wish and desire that our supporters give us an opportunity to move to that next level. And the only way we'll have that opportunity is for them to give us support monetarily. We need season tickets bought. People don't realize the strength of an athletic program is in the season tickets. If everybody bought season tickets, we wouldn't need a budget. All we need is to have the seats available for them. So to buy tickets, come out and support these programs and to cheer for us and to be proud of your institution. And we're working hard to give them, our fans, the type of program that they want.
Now, how much is a season ticket?
A season ticket, a luxury package is $64. That includes the Memphis game, all right? And that's 4 home games plus the Memphis game. That is a very cheap ticket, to be honest with you, for 5 games, to be able to see 5 games for less than $10 a game. And now we have child prices, we have prices for senior citizens, and so it's a level of purchases, but it ranges between $45 and $64, and that's it. And
those persons who might wish to buy one don't necessarily have to attend the games themselves.
No.
They can often buy it and perhaps pass it on.
We've got programs where if you buy a season ticket, say you're only going to come to 2, we have a youth program where we provide those tickets for youth so they can come out and experience a college environment, to see TSU, to be a part of the activities there. So we just need support. We need our fans to come out and support us, and we'll do the rest.
Finally, Coach, I guess you would echo that. I remember when we had Coach Allen of the basketball team, and he said how important fan support was for his team. What about your team?
Well, it's very important. You know, I guess, you know, football is an entertainment. It's an entertaining business, and what we try to do is entertain our fans, and we've done, I think, pretty good considering the fact when we came in we didn't have an opportunity to recruit, but our program now is on the rise, and I'm hoping that, you know, our fan support will turn out. We get quite a bit of fan support on the road when we go to Atlanta, when we go to Memphis, and we want those same people and many more to come out to Hale Stadium, because we played before a record crowd this year in Atlanta with 58,000 people in attendance. So we're hoping that our fans will, you know, pick up the interest again and get the old TSU spirit back, and we'll move forward in the 90s.
In 10 seconds, give us some statements in reference to your schedule.
As far as the schedule goes, it's the best schedule, best package in town. We've got the Memphis game first, and then we've got the game in Atlanta. No, the game in Florida. We go to Orlando, Florida, and play Florida A&M. And then we play in Atlanta against South Carolina State. And, of course, we have 4 home games.
Very good. And let me thank the 2 of you for coming by and giving us that information. We're sorry that we have to cut it off, but we've got about 10 or 15 seconds to go. But let us thank you for coming by and giving us that information about the athletic program at Tennessee State University. And I'm sure that fans will be out and support the team more than ever this year. And let me encourage you to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.